Well guys, we're finally here, the epic conclusion to the Hobbit Trilogy, but didn't you find it odd how the movie was originally going to be titled
There and Back Again?
but at the last minute they changed it to the Battle of the Five Armies? Which title do you prefer?
As the snowflakes cover my fallen brothers, I will say this last goodbye.
The Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies, originally titled There and Back Again, directed by Peter Jackson, and is the third and final instalment of the three-part adaptation of J.R.R. Tolkien's The Hobbit. Now, Battle of the Five Armies tells the story immediately after Desolation of Smaug left off, literally immediately, where Smaug is just burning Lake Town to the ground, and Bard kills the dragon with the Black Arrow in the first 10 minutes, which means the dwarves have reclaimed the mountain, but Thorin is falling under dragon sickness, and Bilbo is trying to help Thorin overcome his greed. Meanwhile, the armies of the men and the elves and the dwarves are about to go to war over the gold in the mountain, and they all come together to unite against the orc armies of Sauron, who imprisoned Gandalf in Dol Guldur in the last movie, which results in the epic battle for the mountain, thus the title, The Battle of the Five Armies. So this movie had the monumental task of not only being an epic conclusion to the Hobbit trilogy, but tying in with the Lord of the Rings trilogy too, thus concluding the Middle-earth saga for now. So what do I think of Battle of the Five Armies, considering I loved both An Unexpected Journey and Desolation of Smaug? Both of them, I think, are incredibly underrated, and the criticisms against them are completely unfair. Yeah, I'm a proud defender of this Hobbit trilogy, so how does Battle of the Five Armies fare? Well, I'm pleased to say I like it. It's good. However, this is sad to say my least favourite of the Hobbit trilogy and of the Middle-earth saga in general. The one Hobbit film where I actually kind of admit the people who make criticisms against these movies kind of have a point, and but don't get me wrong, this is far from a bad film. There is plenty to love here, and it is overall a decent end to this trilogy and a decent tie-in to Lord of the Rings. First of all, the opening with Smaug destroying Lake Town is absolutely terrific. It is one of the best moments in the Hobbit trilogy. Probably the best opening to the Hobbit films. It's so spectacular and thrilling, and just has you on the edge of your seat from the start. And while a Smaug really doesn't get much screen time, which was why there was a lack of him in the advertisements, he only says like a couple of lines like, "You cannot save him from the fire. He will burn." But the lines he did get were awesome, and it's such a good opening. I just wish more of the film was like this. And the White Council battle with Sauron in Dol Guldur is amazing. It is so freaking cool seeing Galadriel, Elrond and Saruman. It was wonderful seeing Christopher Lee again in these Middle-earth films one last time, and just seeing them take on the ring wraiths and Sauron was so great. I just wish that scene was longer. So yeah, the two cliffhangers from Desolation of Smaug are epically resolved, albeit quickly resolved, but without question, the best thing about this movie is the friendship between Thorin and Bilbo, and the character arcs of Thorin and Bilbo. Thorin being corrupted by the gold and succumbing to the same sickness of his grandfather Thrall, and Bilbo just desperately trying to get his friend back and desperately trying to make Thorin see sense and reason. And Martin Freeman proves that he is the one and only perfect Bilbo. He gets so much drama and emotional performances in this movie, and I love how his character has grown throughout the trilogy. In the first film, he was just a simple Homer guy who never wanted any adventures. In the second film, he was a total badass who helped the dwarves, and in this film, he is really Thorin's greatest friend. And I do think he gets more screen time than people give him credit for, but I really wish he wasn't so absent, particularly in the battle at the end, which I'll talk about in a minute. But without question, the film's best performance is Richard Armitage's Thorin Oakenshield. Why does he not get the recognition he deserves? He should have won an Oscar for this movie. I am not kidding. His and Bilbo's friendship has been brilliantly developed and built up throughout all three films. Thorin didn't want anything to do with Bilbo in the first film. At least he didn't respect him until Bilbo saved his life. And in Desolation of Smaug, Thorin did begin to respect Bilbo more and let Bilbo show them the way. But now in this movie, at first he does not listen to Bilbo, and I love the acorn scene. Where Thorin is almost breaks from his sickness. It's so lovely and powerful. And Thorin is so driven by sickness that he's willing to risk a war to protect his gold, and even risk the lives of his company who've travelled with him throughout this journey. And the moment where he almost kills Bilbo is legitimately shocking. And the moment where he realises what he has become when he's on the golden floor, that scene was incredible. Oh my gosh! And the most powerful and moving moment in the movie is Thorin's death, when Bilbo's just lying by Thorin's body, and Thorin's like begging Bilbo to forgive him before he dies. I really cried. I'm not gonna lie. Thorin Oakenshield, for me, is one of the best Middle-earth characters in general, and the other cast are great as ever. Ian McKellen, always perfect as Gandalf, and Luke Evans actually gets so much to do as Bard. After the Master of Lake Town was killed, he has to become the leader of Lake Town and lead the people into battle to survive, and as well as protect his children. And Lee Pace's Thranduil is still a dick, but he just wants the gems that apparently belonged to his wife. So you see more emotional side to him this time. You get why he's a dick. And Billy Connolly as Dane Ironfoot fighting for the dwarves is awesome. He is so badass, though why did he have to be all CGI? Oh well, it's a minor nitpick. The pacing of the film is great. In some ways it benefits that this is the shortest Middle-earth film, being only 2 hours and 20 minutes. After the thrilling opening, the film very appropriately slows down for character development as great build-up to the title battle. Though the battle does go on for literally the last 45 minutes of the movie. It is that long. It's nearly an hour, and it really felt like that. And Howard Shore's score is amazing as ever. It's my second favourite score of the Hobbit trilogy, and I love Billy Boyd's The Last Goodbye. That song is absolutely beautiful, and the tie-ins that this movie has with the Lord of the Rings trilogy are flawless. Like I love how Thorin gave Bilbo Mithril. Thank you so much, Peter Jackson, for including that, because they do explain that in Lord of the Rings. And thank you, Peter Jackson, for including the scene at the end where the Sackville Baggins is take Bilbo's belongings when he's presumed dead. That was so funny, and is explained again in Lord of the Rings. You can tell that Jackson and co, they are the Tolkien experts. They absolutely studied his source material, which is even if they do make changes, that goes to show how much they love and respect Tolkien's work. But sadly, guys, as much as I do enjoy this film and it has good an end to this trilogy as it is, I'm afraid it is the most disappointing of the Hobbit trilogy for me, and the one that confirmed that the Hobbit didn't need it to be a trilogy. And here's why. The film really has a lack of story. I mean, it just feels like one big third act of a story. I mean, and The Return of the King felt like a complete film with a beginning, middle, and an end, but this film just feels like one big climax. And it goes to show that The Hobbit would have worked out so much better as as two movies rather than a trilogy, story and character-wise, as it has so much less story than The Lord of the Rings. And not to mention the battle, while epic and ambitious, isn't a patch on any of the Lord of the Rings battles, especially Helm's Deep and Pelennor Fields. The battles in The Return of the King were just mind-blowingly epic, and considering this movie's titled The Battle at the Five Armies, you'd think they'd attempt to make it one of the best battles of the Middle-earth saga, but in the end the battle came across as good enough but a little underwhelming. It's just basically a lot of CGI guys fighting. In fact, the battle is 90% CGI, which is so disappointing. The Lord of the Rings battles had a lot of CGI, but it wasn't so obvious, and it had a brilliant blend of real sets and practical effects. And the Lord of the Rings battles had memorable, epic moments and classic one-liners, whereas this battle really does lack that. And not to mention Turiel. I loved her in Desolation of Smaug, but here she is given so little to do. She just spends most of the movie with Legolas at Gundaban, which is a real wasted potential. And not to mention they made her look weak when she lost the fight with Bolg, Azog's son. Why was Legolas the one to kill Bolg? They don't have any sense of history at all. Turiel should have been the one to kill Bolg, as she had a motivation to do so, as he was the one that killed Killy. And Killy and Turiel's romance, it went absolutely nowhere in this film. I didn't mind it in Desolation of Smaug if it would lead somewhere in this film, but here it didn't lead anywhere. I was hoping the romance would help the dwarves and elves put aside their difference. It's kind of like Romeo and Juliet, but here it didn't lead anywhere, and Turiel's character never gets a result. We never see what happened to her after she cries over Killy's body. That is it. And not to mention the character of Alfred. He is the worst part of this movie. Oh my gosh, he was so pointless. What did he add to the film? What did he? I mean, Ryan Gage, it's not your fault, man, but your character was so unnecessary. He got needless amounts of screen time, and you could have taken him out of the film and it wouldn't have made any difference. And the trailer for this movie was kind of false advertising, as many iconic moments in the battle, like the awesome cart chase and Gandalf saying, "How shall this day end?" They were completely saved for the extended edition. And why would you show that in the trailer if you weren't going to show it in the theatrical version? At least I can say the best parts of the battle are the one-to-one fights, especially Thorin and Azog's final battle. You're ready for Thorin to just avenge his grandfather and kick Azog's arse, and the final confrontation with Azog, it really got brutal when they both impaled each other. I didn't think the movie would go that dark, but sadly the ending was kind of anticlimactic story and character-wise. Bilbo was the only one that got closure, yet all the other subplots, like Saruman meeting Sauron, the Lake Town, the elves, what happened to Turiel, who got the Arkenstone, left completely unresolved. And we're scratching our heads like Peter Jackson. We've spent 3 movies with these characters. If you're going to make the Hobbit a trilogy, we need Return of the King-like closure. And Peter Jackson recently admitted he really didn't feel like he knew what he was doing with the Hobbit films, as the studio just forced him to make it a trilogy and to completely rush it, whereas with The Lord of the Rings he had 3.5 years to prepare and write the script before he even rolled the camera. Sorry it sounds like I'm being a bit harsh. Peter Jackson still tried his hardest hardest. For all of this movie's shortcomings, it's still a decent end to this trilogy, and The Hobbit stands as a great prequel trilogy. I give The Battle of the Five Armies 3.5 stars out of 5. The Hobbit's still better than the Star Wars prequels, lol. But I love you guys, thank you for watching, I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and stay tuned for my Middle-earth ranking. And what do you think of Battle of the Five Armies? Comment, let me know, please like this video and subscribe. Be sure to and on Google+, and I'll see you next time. Bye guys.